The Mountain Meadows Massacre. In September of 1857, the Fancher immigrant train was traveling from Arkansas to Southern California via the Southern Utah route. They were camped near present-day Enterprise, Utah. While camped there, approximately 120 men, women, and children were massacred in southern Utah. A very dark chapter in our history. Many have been motivated to muddy the waters, to hide uncomfortable facts. We should want the truth, the whole truth, despite the consequences. The, the massacre was a military operation by the territorial militia who were under orders to execute it. We know that the order came through Colonel William Dame, located in Parowan. The orders were then passed to Lieutenant Colonel Isaac Haight of Cedar City. On September 6th of 1857, Lieutenant Colonel Haight summoned Major John D. Lee of Canaroville and passed the orders to him. John D. Lee was selected because he was a missionary to the Paiutes. He spoke their language and had influence with them. The original orders were for the Indians to murder the immigrants and to not involve the white man. And that is what John D. Lee tried to do. The Paiutes attacked the immigrants, but it did not go well. The Fancher party were well armed, and they were very good shots. Several Paiutes were killed and several others wounded. This put the military commanders in a bind. The Paiutes could not execute the orders. But the question was, should they use the white militia to execute the order? John D. Lee was in communication with his superiors as they considered their options. After the Paiute attack failed, Lieutenant Colonel Haight sent a letter to Brigham Young in Salt Lake City, 250 miles distant. It appears that the subject of the letter was for clarification of the orders to exterminate the immigrant party. James Haslam carried the message. He left on September 7th, and with little sleep, he arrived in Salt Lake City on September 10th. Haight's letter to Brigham was not saved, but Brigham's response is recorded. Brigham's reply was to not harm the immigrants, but to allow them to travel safely. Haslam traveled back to Cedar City, arriving on September 13th, too late to save the immigrants. The decision was made to send in the territorial militia to Mountain Meadows to assist John D. Lee. They concocted a plan to have the Fancher party surrender their weapons and be escorted back to Cedar City for their safety. The Paiutes and militia would ambush and execute the immigrants. Many of the militia members were horrified when they learned what they were expected to do. They were pressured to comply and were told to fire into the air if they would do no more. On September 11th, 1857, as the immigrants were escorted from their camp, they were ambushed by some of the hidden militia and Paiutes, and the entire group were murdered. Only children under 8 were spared. The next day, Colonel Dame and Lieutenant Colonel Haight arrived at Mountain Meadows. Dame was unnerved by the grisly scene. Haight challenged Dame, saying, "You ordered it." Militia members were required to take an oath of secrecy afterward. So the question is, who is responsible? Many point to Brigham Young's reply to allow the immigrants to pass safely as evidence that Brigham was not responsible. Whosoever issued the military order is fully responsible for the murders. I personally believe that Brigham Young ordered the massacre because if Colonel Dame was the source of the order, the letter sent via James Haslam could be sent to Dame in Parowan, only 20 miles away. The fact that the letter was sent to Brigham 250 miles away implicates Brigham as the source of the order. Brigham was cunning. The original order was for the natives to do the deed, not white men. Brigham learned from the letter that the natives could not do it, that the militia might be called up. Brigham realized the more people involved, the greater the risk of being exposed and prosecuted. So, if Brigham reversed his earlier order and instructed Haight to allow safe passage, then Brigham was unlikely to be prosecuted. The situation in Utah in August of 1857 is this. Johnston's army was marching to Utah to put down a supposed rebellion. The political atmosphere was very tense. On August 16 of 1857, Brigham Young made some remarks in the tabernacle. He complained of working hard to keep the Indians peaceable. Brigham said, "If the United States send their army here and war commence, this travel must stop," referring to the Gentile immigrants passing through Utah. Brigham said, "I will say no more to the Indians. Let them alone. And what is that? It is to use them up, and they will do it." A clear threat that without Brigham's influence, the Indians will kill entire immigrant trains. Were these idle words? Dimmick Huntington was the Indian agent for Brigham Young. His journal entry for August 30th records his meeting with over 1,000 natives near Ogden. He authorized them to steal the horses and cattle of the immigrant trains en route to California. He wrote, "I gave them all the beef cattle and horses that was on the road to California, the north route. They said it was something new." On September 1st, Dimmick met with Kanosh, the Pavant chief, and 11 Pavants, and Tutsi Gubit, a Pede chief over 6 Pede bands. Dimmick wrote, "I gave them all the cattle that had gone to California, the southern route. It made them open their eyes. They said that you have told us not to steal." Dimmick replied, "So I have, but now they have come to fight us and you, for when they kill us, they will kill you." So clearly Brigham's directive was to allow the natives to steal from the immigrants. The Native Americans knew an army was marching upon Utah. The natives wisely decided not to cause trouble for fear of retribution. from the United States Army. Brigham's feelings about the victims. In May of 1959, there was a monument erected at the massacre site by federal soldiers. Later, when Brigham Young passed by it, he paused and read a wooden cross placed at the top. It read, "Vengeance is mine, and I will repay, saith the Lord." Brigham said it should read, "Vengeance is mine, and I have taken a little." Obviously, Brigham thought the massacre was justified. The church and the participants made efforts to hide what really happened. It was blamed solely upon the Paiute natives. Almost all of southern Utah knew the truth. Later, when the involvement of the whites was undeniable, John D. Lee became the scapegoat, and it was all blamed upon him, although John D. Lee did not have the rank to activate the militia in all of southern Utah. In 1870, John D. Lee and Isaac Haight were excommunicated from the church. John D. Lee went into hiding from the law, and in November of 74, John D. Lee was arrested. Lee was tried for murder. In the trial, the LDS witnesses had poor memories, and the trial ended up in a mistrial. The federal prosecutor visited Brigham Young, and Brigham agreed to help. In the next trial, all the Mormon witnesses had good memories, and John D. Lee was convicted and sentenced to death. He was taken to Mountain Meadows and was shot on March 23rd of 1877. John D. Lee was thrown under the bus and was sacrificed to save the guilty. None of this is logical or makes any sense until you understand the source of the military order. What would motivate normal Christian men who were farmers and hardworking, law-abiding men to be involved in such a horrendous atrocity? My opinion is that Brigham Young was the source of the order, that Brigham commanded a cult-like control over these men, that they participated because of their faith. The person who issued the military order bears full responsibility and will answer to God. In Utah, the LDS Church is a potent political power. One cannot cross the church without consequence. Juanita Brooks published a book in 1950 called The Mountain Meadows Massacre. She had to go out of state to find a publisher. Many historians and writers are motivated to protect sacred cows, to protect the church's reputation, and also to protect Brigham Young's reputation. Our God is a God of truth, and truth should be the goal. For some people, this may be a trial of faith. I have a testimony of Jesus Christ, of Joseph Smith, and the Book of Mormon. If Brigham was a wicked man, that is not a trial to me personally. If your faith is based upon the corporation of the President of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, this might be a problem for you. But our faith should be based upon Jesus Christ and his gospel. This massacre is very troubling to me personally, but I do take comfort knowing that God will dispense justice and that it is in the hands of God. For more information, I would recommend the Facebook page Brigham's Motive for Mountain Meadows Massacre.